5 forgotten skills seniors still use today. Have you ever seen someone fix a leaky faucet with nothing but a butter knife and a rubber band? Or turn a handful of leftovers into a dinner that could feed 4? These aren't YouTube hacks or new age survival tips. For many seniors, these are simply things they've done their whole lives, skills so ingrained, they don't even think twice about them. And yet, to younger generations, they seem almost magical. We live in a time where there's an app for everything. One tap and a stranger shows up to assemble your furniture. Another tap and dinner arrives in 20 minutes. But our elders grew up in a different world. A world where you didn't throw things away, you fixed them. Where you didn't rely on search engines, you relied on instinct, memory, and a little bit of grit. That's what this video is about. Over the next few minutes, we'll rediscover 5 forgotten life skills that many seniors still use today. And these aren't just nostalgic quirks, they're timeless talents that promote independence, creativity, and self-confidence. Whether it's mending clothes, growing food, or making do with what you have, these skills are more relevant today than ever, especially in a world that sometimes moves too fast and forgets the value of doing things with your own 2 hands. I still remember watching my grandfather fix our wobbly kitchen chair. No tools, no measuring tape, just a piece of string, an old nail, and a look of complete calm on his face. He didn't say a word. He just worked, whistled softly, and by the time I came back with my glass of milk, the chair didn't wobble anymore. It wasn't just the fix. It was the quiet pride he carried in doing it himself. That moment stuck with me, and I know many of you have moments like that too. Memories of watching a parent or grandparent solve everyday problems with creativity and care. Maybe you even carry some of those skills yourself. Welcome to Elderly Wisdom Secrets, your cozy spot for heartfelt stories and timeless insights that remind us that age isn't a limit, it's a legacy. Today's video, 5 forgotten skills seniors still use today and why they still matter more than ever. Let's get started. Let's take a moment to think about how different the world is today compared to when many seniors were growing up. Back then, things didn't come with instructions, you figured them out. If the radio stopped working, you opened the back panel and looked. If your pants tore, you reached for a needle, not a new pair. There wasn't a YouTube tutorial or a customer service chat. There was only your hands, your head, and a little bit of patience. And you know what? That was enough. VRN. In today's world, we're drowning in convenience. Groceries delivered in hours, clothes replaced instead of repaired, and gadgets that do everything except remind us how capable we are. But something powerful happens when we pause and reconnect with the way things used to be. Not out of nostalgia, but out of necessity. Because those old ways, they still work. And more than that, they build something we're starting to lose: self-reliance. It's not just about fixing a button or growing a tomato, it's about the sense of calm that comes from knowing you can take care of things yourself. A recent study from Stanford University found that older adults who maintain hands-on practical routines report significantly lower levels of stress and anxiety. Why? Because when you're not dependent on a screen or a service, you feel more in control. You move through the day with confidence, not confusion. And there's another layer here too, something deeper. These skills are more than just tasks, they're acts of memory. Every time a senior needs bread without a recipe, or saves string just in case, they're honoring a life of resilience. A world that taught them to make do, to get by, and to thrive without needing more. I'd love to know, what's one thing you still do the old-fashioned way, even if people around you think it's odd or outdated? Do you still keep a paper calendar? Balance your checkbook? Save jars, rubber bands, or scraps of fabric? Tell me in the comments. I promise, you're not alone. Because here's the truth. What some call old ways, I call quiet genius. And today, we're shining a light on 5 of those skills. Still alive, still useful, and still deeply needed. Let's dive into the 5 forgotten, but still powerful skills that many seniors quietly carry like invisible tools in their pockets. These aren't tricks, they're treasures. And each one has the power to bring not just independence, but a sense of identity that never grows old. 1. The fix-it mindset. There's something deeply satisfying about fixing something with your own two hands. For seniors, this isn't a novelty. It's a way of life. A wobbly chair? Tighten the screws. A ripped curtain? Sew it up. A broken fan? Take it apart, figure it out. No manual required. I remember watching my neighbor, Mr. Willis, who's 86 now, sit down with an old alarm clock that hadn't worked in years. He opened it up on a towel, adjusted a gear with a pair of tweezers, and just said, "Give it a minute." 5 minutes later, tick, tick, tick. It wasn't just about the clock. It was about refusing to give up on something that still had life in it. This mindset teaches us more than just how to fix things. It teaches us to pause, to think, and to believe that most problems have a solution if you just stay calm long enough. 2. Growing what you eat. You don't need acres of land to grow something meaningful. Many seniors keep small gardens, sometimes just a few pots by the window. Tomatoes, herbs, onions. It's not just about having fresh food, it's about connection, watching something grow that you cared for. Take Mrs. Eleanor, 91 years old. Every morning, she waters her basil and cherry tomatoes. She doesn't do it because she has to. She does it because it brings her joy. She says, "It's my quiet talk with nature before the world wakes up." Growing your own food, no matter how little, reminds you that life isn't just about consuming. It's about cultivating. 3. Cooking without a recipe. In a world where most people follow digital instructions to cook dinner, seniors carry something special: intuition. They cook from memory, from flavor, from heart. A pinch of salt, a handful of flour, a splash of milk, and somehow it turns into something comforting and familiar. My grandmother never used measuring cups. Her fingers were her tools, her senses, her guides. She could make biscuits that melted in your mouth, all from a memory she inherited from her own mother. And the best part? Each time she cooked, she passed that memory on, without ever needing to say a word. Cooking this way isn't chaotic, it's creative. And it keeps your mind sharp by turning the kitchen into a place of play and pride. 4. Making do with what you have. This is the art of resourcefulness, a skill seniors mastered long before the word became trendy. Don't have a vase? Use a mason jar. Out of batteries? Put the flashlight near a sunny window until morning. Need to write something down? The back of an envelope will do just fine. These little acts may seem small, but they reflect a mindset of abundance, even in times of lack. Instead of focusing on what's missing, seniors focus on what's possible. It's not just clever, it's liberating. Because every time you use what you already have, you remind yourself that you are already enough. 5. Planning without apps. Finally, let's talk about something beautiful: writing things down. In a world obsessed with notifications and digital reminders, many seniors still prefer a wall calendar, a handwritten grocery list, or a notebook of birthdays and bills. Why? Because it's tangible. Because the act of writing helps the memory sink deeper. And because there's comfort in flipping through pages that carry your life, not just data, but real human reminders of where you've been and what matters. There's a quiet dignity in this habit. It's not about resisting technology. It's about remembering that some tools never need to be upgraded. Blank. Underscore. Blank. These 5 skills, fixing, growing, cooking, making do, and planning, may not seem flashy, but they carry something technology never will: wisdom. They remind us that with the right mindset, a simple life can be a deeply rich one. And the best part? You don't need to go back in time to use these skills. You just need to remember, they're still yours. If you've made it this far, you might be thinking, well, I already do most of those things. And that's the beauty of it. These forgotten skills aren't really forgotten. They're just quietly alive in the hands of those who still value them. But here's something you might not have tried yet: passing them on. Teaching someone younger how to do these things isn't just helpful, it's powerful. When you show your granddaughter how to sew on a button, or your neighbor's kid how to plant mint in a cup, you're not just transferring knowledge, you're passing down confidence. A study from the Journal of Aging and Mental Health found that seniors who actively share their life skills with younger generations report higher self-esteem and emotional well-being. And it makes sense, doesn't it? Because we all want to feel useful. We all want to feel like what we've learned still matters. So here's your bonus challenge. Pick one skill you still use, just one, and this week, share it with someone. It doesn't have to be a lesson. It can be a moment, a story, a simple, "Here's how I used to do it." You might be surprised how much someone younger lights up, not because it's old, but because it's real. And if no one's around, write it down. Film it. Leave it behind in some form, because the next generation needs more than gadgets. They need grounding, and that's exactly what you have to offer. So I'll ask you, which of these 5 skills do you still use today? And is there one you'd love to bring back into your daily life? Let me know in the comments. 50 in the comments. Your story might just be the spark someone else needs to remember how strong they really are. So today, we didn't just talk about tools or tasks. We talked about traits, resilience, resourcefulness, and quiet confidence that live inside every senior who still fixes, grows, cooks, reuses, and plans with care. These 5 forgotten skills are more than survival tactics. How by? They're reminders that wisdom doesn't wear out. How by? It adapts, it teaches, it endures. How by? And in a world that often moves too fast to notice the value of simplicity, these skills act like a soft voice in a loud room, calm, steady, and full of truth. So here's what I'd love you to do. First, leave a comment and share. What's one forgotten skill you still use, and who taught it to you? It might be something small, like folding fitted sheets or organizing a pantry. But to someone else, it could be inspiring. Second, if this video sparked a memory, a smile, or a thought like, "Hey, I still do that," click the like button. It helps more people like you find their way to this growing community. And finally, subscribe to Elderly Wisdom Secrets, where every story, every tip, and every quiet habit of the past is honored and celebrated, because wisdom isn't meant to fade. It's meant to guide. In the next video, we'll meet an 88-year-old woman who didn't have a security system, a weapon, or a plan, but still managed to outsmart a thief using nothing but her quick thinking and calm presence. It's a story that proves courage doesn't come from strength, it comes from clarity. Until then, keep fixing, keep teaching, and never forget, you carry a wisdom this world still needs.